Imagine this. You're surrounded by people who seemingly have it all. Brilliant minds, sharp intellect, overflowing with knowledge. They excel in their careers, solve complex problems, and understand the world in ways most can only dream. And yet beneath the surface of their intellectual prowess, a subtle unease often lingers. Why is it that intelligence, so often associated with success and understanding, doesn't automatically translate into happiness? Is there a hidden flaw in the very pursuit of knowledge that leaves so many bright minds feeling unfulfilled? History, literature, and countless personal stories echo this paradox. From tormented geniuses in history to contemporary academics struggling with anxiety, the pattern is undeniable. You'll see brilliant scientists battling depression, insightful writers wrestling with existential angst, and sharp analysts caught in webs of their own overthinking. But this isn't just anecdotal. It's a reflection of a deeper human condition, intricately linked to our very cognitive makeup and the expectations we place on intellect. In a world that glorifies rationality and achievement, those who possess these qualities in abundance often find themselves grappling with a different kind of scarcity, a scarcity of inner peace, of genuine joy. This disconnect forces us to confront a perplexing question. Is intelligence in some ways a burden when it comes to happiness? Yet the paradox deepens. While smart people may struggle with unhappiness, the pursuit of knowledge and understanding is inherently valuable, even noble. The question is not simply why they might be unhappy, but whether their intelligence can also be a pathway to a deeper kind of joy, a joy that transcends fleeting pleasures and superficial successes. To understand this intricate relationship between intelligence and happiness, we need to delve into a wisdom tradition that has contemplated this very issue for millennia. Ancient Stoicism and its profound insights on the nature of true fulfillment. Let's explore this deeper. Imagine two individuals facing the complexities of life. One is exceptionally intelligent, analytical, constantly processing information, anticipating problems, and aware of all the potential pitfalls. The other may be less intellectually gifted, but possesses a different kind of strength, inner resilience, emotional regulation, and a grounded sense of purpose. Which of these two is more likely to navigate life's inevitable challenges with equanimity and find lasting happiness? Ancient Stoic philosophy argued that true happiness isn't primarily a product of intellectual prowess, but rather a result of virtuous character and a specific way of engaging with the world. They developed a system not to diminish intelligence, but to complement it, to guide it toward genuine flourishing. Stoicism, at its core, isn't about suppressing emotions or becoming emotionless. It's about cultivating inner strength and wisdom to navigate the inevitable ups and downs of life with reason and composure. Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus were not simpletons. They were often highly intelligent and engaged in complex affairs. They understood the power of intellect, but also recognized its limitations when it came to achieving lasting happiness. They saw two fundamental paths to fulfillment: the path of external pursuits, often driven by intellect, and the path of inner cultivation, guided by virtue. These are not mutually exclusive, but understanding their differences is key to unlocking the puzzle of intelligent unhappiness. The path of external pursuits, often celebrated by modern society, is where intelligence often excels. It's about acquiring knowledge, achieving career success, accumulating wealth, and gaining social recognition. Smart people are often naturally adept at this game. They are quick learners, strategic thinkers, and capable problem solvers. They can climb corporate ladders, invent groundbreaking technologies, and achieve impressive accolades. However, here's the uncomfortable truth. Placing primary emphasis on external achievements, even for the intelligent, can be a fragile foundation for happiness. External circumstances are inherently uncertain, fleeting, and often beyond our direct control. Slave morality, as Nietzsche described it, focused on the external validation and the approval of others. Similarly, a life primarily focused on external validation, even for the intelligent, can lead to a form of intellectual slavery, constantly seeking external markers of success to define their worth. This reliance on external factors makes happiness contingent and vulnerable. Imagine a brilliant scientist whose entire sense of worth is tied to publishing groundbreaking papers, or a successful entrepreneur whose happiness fluctuates wildly with stock market trends. When their external metrics falter, their sense of well-being collapses too. Here's the uncomfortable truth. External intelligence alone does not build a fortress against inner turmoil. It can even amplify it by making one acutely aware of all the things that could go wrong. So what does this mean for us? Should intelligent people abandon their pursuit of knowledge and achievement entirely? Of course not. Intelligence is a powerful tool and a gift. The key, Stoicism suggests, is to reorient our understanding of happiness and integrate a different kind of intelligence. Emotional and ethical intelligence cultivated through virtue. To answer how, we must look deeper into the psychology of happiness itself and the internal landscape that shapes our sense of well-being. Picture a raging storm, external life, full of chaos and unpredictable events. In this storm, external achievements are like ships tossed about by the waves. They are vulnerable to sinking, capsizing, or being swept away. True happiness, Stoicism argues, is not found in the fleeting success of these ships, but in the inner harbor, the fortress of the mind, that remains calm and unshakable regardless of the external tempest. The Stoics understood that human society, beneath its sophisticated veneer, is still driven by primal human emotions and desires. External validation, material possessions, and fleeting pleasures are often sought, but rarely deliver lasting satisfaction. Those who rely solely on their intellect to navigate this terrain often find themselves on a hedonic treadmill, constantly chasing the next achievement, the next dopamine hit, without ever finding lasting contentment. Psychologists have long studied the paradox of hedonic adaptation, the tendency to return to a baseline level of happiness despite positive or negative life events. This explains why even intelligent people who achieve great success can still experience persistent unhappiness. Time and time again, research shows that external factors contribute relatively little to long-term happiness. While income above a certain threshold has minimal impact and achievements provide temporary boosts, lasting happiness is far more correlated with internal factors. These include strong social connections, a sense of purpose and meaning, and, crucially, inner resilience and emotional regulation. This does not mean that intelligence is irrelevant, but it highlights that emotional and ethical intelligence, the domain of Stoicism, is paramount for genuine well-being. Consider historical figures admired not just for their intellect, but for their character and inner strength. Figures like Nelson Mandela or Viktor Frankl. The pattern is clear. Wisdom beyond intellect is the bedrock of lasting joy. Hesitation to address inner life, however, is a common liability, even among the intelligent. The modern world often prioritizes external achievement and rational analysis over introspection and emotional cultivation. Smart people are often trained to solve external problems, to analyze data, to optimize systems. They may be less equipped to navigate their own inner landscape, to understand and manage their own emotions. But here's the paradox. Intellectual intelligence without emotional wisdom can be a recipe for unhappiness. The very sharpness of the intellect can amplify negative emotions, leading to overthinking, anxiety, and a hyper-awareness of life's imperfections. Ruthlessness in pursuit of external goals, as discussed before, can lead to success in some domains, but also to isolation and a hollowness at the core. Similarly, relying solely on intellect without cultivating inner virtues can lead to a different kind of downfall, an internal downfall, a state of chronic dissatisfaction and emotional fragility. A brilliant mind, untamed by wisdom, can become its own prison. So if intellect alone isn't enough, does this mean that intelligence and happiness are inherently opposed? Not necessarily, but to understand why, we need to challenge one of the greatest illusions of modern life, the belief that happiness is something to be found externally rather than cultivated internally. From popular culture to marketing campaigns, we are bombarded with a comforting story that happiness is something to be acquired, purchased, or achieved. Fairy tales promise happily ever afters based on external events. Consumer culture equates happiness with buying the right products. Social media feeds present curated images of external perfection. But then, as intelligent people examine reality with their analytical minds, a brutal contradiction emerges. The wealthiest are not always the happiest. The most successful are not immune to despair. The most knowledgeable can still feel profoundly lost. This disconnect is not a flaw in reality. It is a flaw in the illusion itself. The idea of externally derived happiness is, in many ways, a social construct, a narrative perpetuated by consumerism, rather than reflecting the deeper truths of human well-being. It is a tempting illusion, but an illusion nonetheless. External success and achievement are not handed out based on intellectual merit alone. They are influenced by luck, circumstance, and countless factors beyond individual control. Psychological research has illuminated the dangers of the hedonic treadmill and the limitations of external validation. If we assume that intelligence alone will lead to happiness, we risk ignoring the vital role of inner cultivation, emotional regulation, and virtue. And while we chase external achievements, those who cultivate inner strength are already building a more resilient and enduring foundation for well-being. But does this mean intelligence is meaningless in the pursuit of happiness? Should we abandon the life of the mind and retreat to simple contentment? Not quite. The key is to understand the limitations of external pursuits without devaluing the power of intellect. Those who suffer the most are often those who believe that external success will automatically equate to inner peace. But those who learn to balance intellectual pursuits with inner cultivation, who combine sharp minds with virtuous character, are the ones who unlock a deeper, more sustainable form of happiness. The truth is this: external happiness is not something we can expect. It is something we must supplement with internal strength, and that requires a different kind of power. Inner power, self-mastery, and the cultivation of virtue. Stoicism saw this inner struggle as a fundamental part of human existence. Their answer was not to surrender to the illusion of external happiness, nor to reject intelligence, but to point to something higher, a way to transcend both intellectual pride and emotional fragility. To understand this, we must explore one of their most revolutionary ideas: the concept of living in accordance with nature and finding happiness within, regardless of external circumstances. Nietzsche saw the Ubermensch as transcending conventional morality. Similarly, Stoicism proposes transcending the conventional pursuit of external happiness. Imagine standing at a crossroads. Behind you lies the world's conventional wisdom: chase external success for happiness. Before you lies a different path, less traveled, but promising a more enduring form of fulfillment. Most will hesitate, shackled by societal expectations and the allure of external validation. But a few will choose the path of inner cultivation. These are the individuals who understand that true happiness is not found out there, but in here, within their own minds, in their character, in their virtuous actions. Stoicism's idea of living in accordance with nature isn't about brute suppression of intellect or emotion. It's about self-understanding and self-regulation. It's about aligning our actions with our deepest values and understanding the natural order of the universe. The Stoic ideal is someone who refuses to be a victim of external circumstances, who does not accept societal definitions of happiness without question, and who shapes their own inner world, regardless of external chaos. At the heart of Stoic happiness is the focus on virtue, on living a life of wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance. Unlike the fleeting happiness derived from external achievements, virtue provides an internal anchor, a source of strength and meaning that is independent of external conditions. While the intellectually driven may be trapped by the anxieties of external validation, the virtuous individual moves forward, grounded in their inner principles. But here's the key: the Stoic is not unhappy or devoid of joy. Unlike the cynical and disillusioned intellectual who sees only the emptiness of external pursuits, the Stoic finds joy in virtue itself, in the act of living well, in contributing to the common good, and in appreciating the present moment. The intellectual may play a temporary game, chasing external validation and fleeting pleasures. But the Stoic plays the infinite game, building inner resilience, cultivating virtuous character, and finding joy in the process of becoming a better human being. They are creators of inner peace, not just seekers of external gratification. So how do we embody this? How do we navigate a world that often equates intelligence with external success, while pursuing a deeper, more lasting happiness? The answer lies in understanding that intelligence is a powerful tool, but it needs to be guided by wisdom. The next step is learning how to cultivate inner strength and emotional resilience, complementing our intellectual abilities with Stoic principles. Picture this: you're in a world obsessed with external metrics of success, where intelligence is often valued solely for its ability to achieve worldly gains. If you simply rely on your intellect without inner grounding, you risk being tossed about by the waves of external fortune. You lose. This is the reality many face in the pursuit of happiness. Intellect alone is not enough. Ruthlessness in the external world, as we discussed, has its limits. Similarly, pure intellectualism, divorced from emotional and ethical wisdom, can lead to a limited and potentially unhappy existence. But does this mean you must become less intelligent to be happy? Not necessarily. The mistake most people make is believing they only have two choices: be intellectually driven and externally focused, or abandon intellect for a life of simple contentment. But there is a third path, one that blends intellectual inquiry with inner cultivation, one that allows you to use your intelligence for good, while grounding your happiness in something more enduring than external achievements. Stoic philosophy wasn't about rejecting intelligence. It was about transcending the limitations of purely external focus while maintaining intellectual authenticity. The key is understanding the power of inner strength without being enslaved by the pursuit of external validation. Here's how. One of the biggest weaknesses even intelligent people can have is their belief that intelligence itself will guarantee happiness or a meaningful life. It won't. The wisest among us understand this early on. They don't waste time assuming intelligence alone will suffice. They learn to cultivate inner virtues and emotional resilience alongside their intellectual pursuits. This doesn't mean abandoning intellectual rigor. It means recognizing that inner strength is just as crucial as intellectual strength. Many unhappy intelligent people fail because they assume that intellectual prowess alone will bring them fulfillment. But inner peace is rarely given by external achievements. It is cultivated internally. That doesn't mean becoming less intelligent, but it does mean understanding the minds and, more importantly, the hearts of those who have found lasting happiness, often through wisdom traditions like Stoicism. Strategic empathy in this context means reading human nature deeply, recognizing the limitations of external validation, and anticipating the pitfalls of purely intellectual pursuits. It allows you to navigate the complexities of life with both intelligence and inner wisdom, without becoming enslaved to the pursuit of external validation. Most people, regardless of intelligence, are controlled by external desires and fears: fear of failure, fear of social disapproval, fear of missing out. The Stoic, however, develops internal power. This means embracing discomfort, practicing self-discipline, and forging your own inner path, regardless of external pressures. The happiest intelligent people do not seek constant external validation. They create inner sources of joy and meaning that are less susceptible to the whims of fortune. There is a difference between mindless intellectualism and wise intelligence. The first can be a source of anxiety and dissatisfaction. The second is the ability to use your intellect in service of virtue, inner peace, and a meaningful life. True inner power requires walking away from the illusion of external happiness, making choices aligned with your values, and confronting uncomfortable truths about the nature of fulfillment. This is not intellectual weakness, it is profound strength. The key is knowing when and how to apply intellectual rigor, and when to prioritize inner cultivation. Ruthlessness in the external world often rises fast, but also falls hard. Similarly, intellect untempered by wisdom may achieve external heights, but can also lead to a harder internal fall. Why? Because both are built on external dependencies, not inner strength. The true Stoic, the truly wise individual, builds inwardly. Whether it's cultivating inner peace, developing virtuous character, building meaningful relationships, or contributing to the common good. When you create inner value, you become more resilient and fulfilled. You do not need to constantly chase external validation because your happiness is earned, not borrowed from fleeting external achievements. So, can you be both intelligent and happy in a world that often misunderstands the true sources of well-being? Absolutely, but only if you stop playing by the old rules. Stop expecting external success to automatically deliver happiness and start mastering the art of inner cultivation, grounded in ancient wisdom. But this brings us to the ultimate question. Is intelligence itself inherently a source of unhappiness, or is it simply misunderstood in its role in achieving fulfillment? Intelligence is a force that drives progress, innovation, and understanding in the world, shaping the lives of those who wield it and impacting society at large. But is intelligence inherently destined to lead to unhappiness, or does it simply expose the limitations of a purely external approach to well-being? Nietzsche's exploration of power wasn't just about domination, it was about self-overcoming. Similarly, Stoicism's exploration of happiness isn't just about suppressing emotions or intellect. It's about cultivating inner strength and wisdom. The drive to acquire knowledge and understand the world, according to Stoicism, is inherently valuable. But it is often misunderstood when seen as the primary path to happiness. It's not about crushing emotions or diminishing intellect. It's about surpassing the limitations of purely external pursuits and cultivating inner resilience. Yet throughout history, intelligence has often been linked to anxiety, overthinking, and even despair. We've seen countless brilliant individuals who, despite their intellectual gifts, fall prey to unhappiness. This paradox leaves us wondering, is intelligence a curse when it comes to happiness, or does it simply illuminate the need for a different kind of wisdom? Stoicism argued that happiness in its purest form isn't about avoiding pain or maximizing pleasure. It's about living in accordance with virtue and accepting what we cannot control. It's about striving for inner excellence and creating inner peace, not succumbing to the anxieties imposed by external pressures. However, society's values often make the pursuit of inner virtue seem less important than external success. In a world where achievement is celebrated, the individual who prioritizes inner peace is often viewed with suspicion or dismissed as lacking ambition. But what if this is a misunderstanding? What if by shifting our focus from external validation to inner cultivation, we are simply embodying a truer path to well-being, one that is more resilient, more sustainable, and ultimately more fulfilling? Stoicism didn't see intelligence as a barrier to happiness. It saw it as a tool that needed to be guided by virtue and wisdom. Stoicism didn't see the pursuit of virtue as a simple rejection of the world, but as an inner force, a drive to live more fully, to explore the depths of human potential, and to find meaning in a world often perceived as chaotic and indifferent. In this light, the cultivation of inner virtue becomes an ethical pursuit, one that challenges you to break free from societal constraints and to define your existence on your own terms, while finding a deeper, more enduring happiness that intellect alone cannot provide. But does this mean that everyone who seeks inner virtue will automatically be happy? Not necessarily. The path to inner peace can be a challenging journey, requiring self-awareness, discipline, and consistent effort, leading one either to enlightenment or to continued struggle. The difference lies in the intent, the consistency of practice, and the commitment to self-improvement. Is the quest for inner virtue a means to escape the world, or is it a process of self-overcoming, of crafting an inner reality that aligns with our highest aspirations, leading to a happiness that intelligence alone cannot secure? So, is intelligence a curse to happiness? Not inherently. It's a tool, one that, when wielded by a person of wisdom and virtue, can lead to unimaginable understanding and contribution to the world, while also fostering deep inner peace. But when used solely for external gain, or when left untempered by emotional intelligence, it reveals the darker aspects of the human condition: anxiety, dissatisfaction, and a perpetual sense of unease. Stoicism's challenge to us is to rethink happiness, not as something to be pursued externally through intellect alone, but as something to be cultivated internally through discipline, self-awareness, and an unwavering commitment to becoming more virtuous and more emotionally resilient than we are today. If this exploration of intelligence and happiness has made you think, challenged your assumptions, and sparked a deeper curiosity about life, happiness, and ancient wisdom, then make sure to subscribe to the Innera channel. Don't forget to hit the like button, share this video with those who are seeking a more balanced understanding of intelligence and happiness, and stay tuned for new content every day. Together, let's continue the journey toward understanding, growth, and the pursuit of a more fulfilling and joyful life, where intelligence is guided by wisdom and inner peace is found beyond external achievements.